Welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm Laura Blackmore, your host, and a franchise consultant with over a decade experience in franchising. Franchising isn't one size fits all, and this podcast helps focus on what truly matters. Each week, we pull back the curtain with top industry experts, whether you're exploring your first franchise or expanding your portfolio. Let's dive in. Welcome to Franchise Focus. Today's guest is Amy Lane, Director of Franchise Development at Front Street Equity Partners. With years of experience helping emerging brands scale, she's now leading growth for Hello Sugar, a tech-forward waxing, sugaring, and laser franchise with a membership model and a lean salon suite strategy. We're talking about how they scale, who they're looking for, and why franchisees are jumping in. So welcome. How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm doing great, Laura. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's give you a little background about yourself and the franchise world and kind of an overview of Hello Sugar, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with myself. Why not? Happy to
Yeah.
talk about me. No, I'm just kidding. I'll keep it short. Basically, my whole career thus far has been in franchising. I started in the technology space. So I was selling software to franchisors first. Did that with one company, switched over to another to kind of help them get into the franchising side of the business. They were small business, so got them into the franchise world. Through that, got to go to a lot of different conferences, meet a lot of different franchise founders, go to a lot of different headquarters.
Yeah.
And through that time, got to be introduced to the franchise development side. At the conferences, I was always listening to the franchise development tracks and knew I wanted to get onto that side of the house. So here I am today. It's been amazing. This is now my second brand doing franchise development for. It's been a really fun ride.
Yeah.
And I can walk you through a little bit of a high level of Hello Sugar, and then I know you have questions to get into. So I'll keep it pretty brief, but Hello Sugar, you kind of touched on it. We like to call ourselves an AI and technology company that just so happens to be in the hair removal space. So we'll get into it deeper. We dominate the hair removal category because, to your point, we not only offer wax, we also offer sugar and laser in select locations. So however the hair is removed, we can do it for the customer.
And how does the customer decide on that, or how do you decide on helping
Yeah.
customers decide which way they want to have their hair removed?
That's a great question. So some customers come into it with the mindset and the knowledge, and they know exactly what they want. Certain customers are allergic to hard wax, for example. One of our biggest competitors only offers hard wax, so they can't go there physically, or they shouldn't
Yeah.
if they have an allergy. But ultimately, if the customer is coming in without knowledge, what the esthetician will do is, based on their skin type, hair type, and overall preference, they'll let them know what's the best advised plan for them. Sugaring, for example, it can hurt a little bit more, especially for a first time hair removal. And so they may start them off with waxing, move them over to sugar. But again, it really does it's varied based on preference, because some people just only want sugar,
Yeah.
and that's okay too. So we can capture all of those needs in one place.
Great. And so did Hello Sugar, do I have this right, that they started in 2015?
Yeah, that's correct. So Brigham, our CEO and founder, created this concept back in 2015. And I always make the joke because it's quite funny. 40 or a large percentage of our owners, I should say, are actually men. And so I always joke with people like, oh, you probably you hoped and dreamed of owning a sugaring, waxing, and laser franchise. And they always laugh about that because that's not the case, right? No one really is growing up with that mindset. And Brigham was the same way. He honestly didn't even know what a Brazilian wax was at the time of the inception of Hello Sugar, but what he saw was the economics behind it. His background was in digital marketing. He owned his own digital marketing agency. He also was teaching an entrepreneurial class at a college at the time. So a lot of our first franchise owners were actually some of his students. And so we can get into it a little bit more with the salon suite to flagship model.
Mhm.
But when the business started, it started in the back of a plastic surgeon's office. So in a small suite in the back of a plastic surgeon's office. That's not how we do things today, but
Mhm.
that formed kind of the inception of the idea around the salon suite. Start small, kind of get your foot in the door and convert into a flagship. which we can dive into deeper as well.
Yeah. So I know you have those two approaches. Do most owners start? So just to give a background, to save some money, is that the main cost? And again, to build
Yeah,
up that membership base while you're testing the market, or you're not really testing the market, right? You do a lot of data driven analytics before you go into a market. Can you talk about
correct.
that a bit more and
Yeah.
then how that rollout goes?
Yeah, so I'll first touch on how we position the locations that we're awarding. We don't just award any area, and I really value and respect that of Hello Sugar and the executive team. They're very franchisee focused and forward. In fact, side note, the entire executive team of franchisors that's based in the US, they're all franchisees as well, which is really interesting and probably a whole side topic we could delve into. But
Yeah.
with that being said, they really want to make sure our franchise owners are successful. So when we're looking at areas, we're looking at demographics and psychographics. One of the biggest things we're looking at is our target demographic, which is females aged 20 to 39. So typically, we want to see at least 10,000 females of that population within a 3 mile radius. We also want to make sure if they are going to start in a salon suite, which we can touch on in a minute, we want to make sure there are national salon suites in their areas. So, like a Sola, Phoenix, Image Studios, we want to look at their co tenants. So, oftentimes when our clients are going to get a service done, they're stacking. So what I mean by that is I may go get a wax and then pop by the shop next door and get a cookie, or I may go to Target and get my shopping done, etc. So there's certain co-tenants that we're looking for so that when they do convert into the flagship, they can be positioned nicely, having that walk by traffic and visibility. So to dive quickly, and there's plenty of other additional factors, but I don't want to spend all day on it.
Right.
To dive into the salon suite to flagship component. So exactly to your point, Hello Sugar is a reoccurring revenue model. So members are coming back, monthly. And so they're able to start smaller in a salon suite. So the initial investment for a salon suite is around 90 to 127,000, includes our initial franchise fee in there as well.
Mhm.
So it's a much smaller investment. They're able to get up and running quickly, typically within 60 to 90 days. So rather than waiting for that big build out of a 12 to 1600 square foot, flagship location, they can start to have the revenue coming in, get those members on the books and train their staff while also getting the Hello Sugar brand out there through our digital marketing. Ultimately, though, the flagship is the real cash cow and the place that you actually want to be. The ad dollars go a lot further. And you'll see that in our item 19, which is 40 pages, by the way. It's probably the longest item 19, Laura, that
Wow.
you've ever seen. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and so that's where we ultimately want everyone to be, is in that flagship. And so our
Mhm.
model today is within 2 years, they need to convert their suite into a flagship to capture the rest of the clientele base and continue to grow and scale.
Do some folks say, "Hey, let's start," or is this too soon? Let's start in the salon suite, but concurrently start my build out. I don't know how long the build out typically takes, and that you
Yeah.
can move them quickly over. Is that
Yeah.
how does that work?
They definitely can. That's actually a wise option is for them, especially if there's someone that wants to quickly convert and is ready
Mhm.
to do that.
Mhm.
They can start looking. We have a third party real estate site selection, lease negotiation team that we work with. So they can start partnering with them, see what available sites there are. We like to get our owners into sites that are more of a cosmetic lift. So, taking a very similar structure, maybe a former waxing brand or massage or lashes, something like that,
Mhm.
versus a full tear down, new HVAC, etc. But absolutely that can be done at the same time. Typically with the salon suites, it's either week to week or month to month. So they're able to then quickly transition over.
Okay. Okay. And do you keep most of the people when you transition over,
Yeah,
moving?
I would say so. We try to keep it within a very close vicinity
Yeah.
because for a service like hair removal, you're probably not traveling an extra 20, 30 minutes away.
Mhm.
You want to stay within that 2 to 3 mile radius. And so that's where we keep them. And the clients do then transfer over. Oftentimes they're even happier now that they have this larger space and they have the full brand name and experience that the flagship offers as well.
And how many franchisees are you up to today?
Yeah. So we have awarded over 250 locations, of which I believe we're at around 60 owners. We've
Mhm.
actually grown twice as much in size with existing owners this year than new owners, which is really cool. And
That's
I think that is
fantastic.
a testament to our validation.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
most of our owners today are sitting around 3 to 4 locations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So the focus on the wax sugaring laser, just trying to provide that complete model, or how did you come up with that?
Yeah, honestly, that's a great question for Brigham to dive even deeper into.
Yeah.
But from what he's shared is it's really just being inclusive.
Mhm.
And you'll notice that with the Hello Sugar brand and our imaging as well. We try to make sure that we're not just targeting one specific, you know, demographic or and I did mention earlier, our target is females age 20 to
Right.
39. We also service men. We also service people
Sure.
outside of those
Sure.
age ranges. So I think that's a big part of it as well is being able to, service everyone. On the business side, there's another part to that, which is kind of our customer acquisition strategy,
Perfect.
which is starting off, and this is probably delving into another question. So let me
No,
know
it's
if you
perfect.
want me to
Perfect
go there.
segue. Yeah.
Awesome. So Hello Sugar does 100% of the digital marketing for our
Mhm.
owners, and they do an incredible job at it. Not only Brigham had his background in digital marketing, there's a couple others of the executive team that also had digital marketing backgrounds or owned their own agencies. So a lot of manpower there. But the kind of customer journey is they typically come in through a free bikini wax. From
Okay.
there, we're able to kind of hook the interest. We then upsell them to a Brazilian. And sugar wax, again, that really depends on the preference of the customer. We also have two different types of wax: hard wax, soft wax. So it's more so about making the customer feel comfortable, feeling customized to
Mhm.
them and their skin type, hair type. And then from there, you upsell them again to a laser, which is about $1,400 for a laser package. So, from a business owner perspective, being able to have all of those avenues and be able to continue to grow and scale with the customer. We didn't offer laser at first, but that was an area that Brigham found in working with existing customers and taking surveys of why they're dropping off. He found out that a handful of those were dropping off to laser. So we said, why not bring that in, continue to move along with those customers throughout their hair removal journey?
Right, right. Fantastic. So we talked a little bit about that customer acquisition. So you start off with that. What are you generating that gets people in with that free, or what kind of digital marketing are you doing? What other
Yeah.
modes of marketing? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. So, truthfully, the digital marketing is the biggest space for us. It's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's Google, TikTok in some markets.
Hmm.
That's the attention grabber. So either it's that free bikini or we often run $20 Brazilians as well. Those are our two biggest ads that we're
Okay.
hooking people. So they may be loyal customers to a competitor, but if you see a free bikini wax, it's like, hey, why not? Let me give it a
Yeah.
try.
Okay.
And then with the consultative approach of our estheticians and how the rest of it is all structured, oftentimes they convert over. But on average, in our flagships, for every dollar our owners are putting into advertising, they're seeing a $32 return, which is pretty insane. So it goes a really long way. And in fact, our owners don't have to be what I like to call like the mayor of the town. They don't have to be involved in events, their second Sundays, first Fridays, things like that. They absolutely have the freedom to do that. They can hand out Hello Sugar cookies and flyers, etc. But that's not huge driver. It is majority our digital marketing is what makes the biggest footprint.
Which is fantastic because some people that's really, they're not going to be that mayor of the town. So that's
Yeah.
great to know that people love this area. They love, I'd even throw it into wellness, but that the health and
Yeah.
beauty area, but they don't have some of those skill sets. So it's good to know
Yeah.
that. But I'm sure networking to some extent can help too in terms of um, other referrals as well. But
Yeah.
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 In terms of, your membership model, I guess, so you could do that free, you get them into a membership. Is it usually typically a monthly? How does that work? And then
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. So it's a monthly membership. Hair grows back typically on a 28-day cycle. So, it's not one of those things where people would come every week. That would
Right.
actually be a negative impact on their skin and their
Yeah.
hair and all of that. So, yeah, it's a monthly membership. They are able to lock in a membership for one body part. And then through that, it also unlocks the membership pricing for other body parts as well. So if I have a Brazilian membership, but then I want to add eyebrows for every other time I go, I
Oh,
can do
perfect.
that under the membership pricing.
Awesome. Awesome. And then talk a little bit about there was some notes on automated front desk or how that works for the customer experience when they're coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. I am happy to touch on it. I think it's a big differentiator of Hello Sugar. So, one of my least favorite things is showing up at an appointment and having to just kind of have that awkward small talk with the receptionist. They are typically the lowest paid on the totem pole, and they're that first and last, typically, point of contact. On average in the industry, a receptionist turns over every 3 to 4 months. And so we did have receptionists in the past with Hello Sugar, and they realized all of those things. And they realized if we could take away that friction point and we could put money back into our owners' pockets, why wouldn't we?
Hmm.
So, with the AI and tech background of our executive team, they created this receptionless technology. So, when I say receptionless, there still is an aspect of reception, right?
Sure.
A physical receptionist sitting there at the front desk. So, whether it's in a salon suite or a flagship, the experience is very similar in terms of I schedule my appointment online. We
Okay.
also have a mobile app as well that we created. And it's a fun mobile app. It's similar to Starbucks, where you have like the reward systems and
Perfect.
hey, for every X amount of appointments, here's a free underarm wax. It's like I
Yeah.
would never do that, but sure, let me try.
Right.
So they can book either of those routes. They then are getting text messages and they can communicate back and forth with the AI chatbot. It's really smart. And so you can ask it all sorts of questions. However, if you ask it a question outside of its database of knowledge, such as how do I make chocolate chip cookies, like something completely random, it
Hmm.
will actually divert you to a live agent that we have offshore that's all trained by Hello Sugar. And
Okay.
so the full process is seamless. I think it really helps with our MCR or membership conversion rate, which is one of the biggest metrics we're looking at for estheticians. By the way, that sits at about 40%, meaning roughly every 1 out of 2 customers walking in the door are coming back as returning reoccurring members. And I
Okay.
think that's so high because you're in the room for 15 to 30 minutes getting an intimate service done with this person. They're the ones checking you out. They're the ones making sure that you're getting booked for your next appointment, becoming a member, telling you about your customized approach that we've just done versus that, teenager chomping gum, scrolling on TikTok. That's a different relationship that you have. So taking that piece out, I think helps in multiple facets of the business.
And how is that process finding those people, the estheticians, and then
Yeah.
also training them to not only do their, I would say, more artistic side of work, and then to also be, a salesperson to some extent, right?
Yeah, that's a very great and valid question.
Mhm.
It's one of the reasons why Brigham liked this space of hair removal is because these employees, which we like to call pink collar employees, so they're not quite white collar, they're not
Right.
quite blue collar, they're somewhere in between, and they're typically all female staff.
Yeah.
And so the great news about them is they have to be licensed. So this is not just your average Joe Schmo you can grab off the street and say, hey, do you want to become an esthetician? they've put their time, energy, money, and efforts into getting licensed. There's two major ways that we find them. One is simply Indeed. And from chatting with our existing owners, there is no shortage of estheticians applying for
Okay.
jobs, which is really great. And then the other area, and you mentioned kind of networking when we were talking about the marketing side, it's important actually for our owners to network with esthetician schools so that those new graduates can funnel right into Hello Sugar. So
Right.
it's kind of a personal preference as far as the owner. I think some gear more towards seasoned staff and some gear more towards new so that they can mold them and train them. Either way, our interview process, how it works, our owners get a designated HR consultant that's with them every step of the way. Ultimately, of course, it's the owner's decision,
Oh, that's
but we're
fantastic.
not hiring estheticians to become owners. So they don't know and they shouldn't have to know the ins and outs of waxing, sugaring, laser, etc. And so the first stage is kind of like today's conversation. It's a Google Meets or a Zoom call. It's getting to know them. From there, we're running a predictive index test, which is a personality test. So
Hmm.
I'm glad you made the point of it's not only their art and skill, but it's also the sales aptitude component because this business is driven by reoccurring members. And so that's a big aspect. So that basically lays out all these different personality types. So we can take a glance and immediately say, hey, this bucket of people, we're not moving to the next round. This bucket, we are. From there, we do a sales role play kind of interview. So they're doing objection handling, role play sessions, etc. And then finally, we're actually sending out our corporate trainer from our headquarters in Phoenix to their location for a week to train their team of estheticians. So Sally may be amazing at her sales aptitude, but she can't wax an eyebrow to save her life, even though she's, a registered esthetician. Sometimes they just can't pick up on those skills.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece of it as well. And our team will provide feedback throughout the entire process. And that's kind of how it goes.
Fantastic. And then when you think about the ideal owner, we talked about, some things they don't have to have, but who's jumping in, who's getting excited, and who thrives in your business, or who do you guys want to be
Yeah,
as a part of your
absolutely.
team?
Yeah, so it is an interesting one because we are such an executive model.
Yep.
We like to stay away from the words passive, semi-absent, but we keep on the executive mindset. So with that, to your point, we do a lot of things for them, the reception, the marketing, the training, but the biggest thing we need is leadership. So I mentioned it's a team of all female estheticians. They're a different breed. So it's important to understand, can this person manage that kind of team? So are they enthusiastic? Can they motivate? Can they drive that sales component? Now, they don't have to be, a seasoned sales executive by any means. We actually have training courses on the MCR, the membership conversion rates. If there's someone that's like, hey, I'm not the best at, teaching sales, that's okay. As long as they still have that leadership, motivation, enthusiastic energy is something we look for. Easy to communicate with, not the silent one in the room that's not asking any questions or interacting. We want people that are involved and want to grow. So that's the biggest thing we look for.
That's great. And then in terms of the demand in the area, so there is some competition. I wouldn't say necessarily oversaturated. We've got some big names out there. They're probably are
Yeah.
full. But what does that look like in terms of when you guys are seeking out and how to make sure there's enough room in that market?
Yeah, so funny enough, one of the other factors that I hadn't even mentioned when looking at locations is we do look at competitors and we like competitors. So
Mhm.
we want to see competitors in the area. In fact, we have some locations that are literally across the street from a direct competitor. To us, that's not bad because what we're doing is standing out. Of course, we have all the different forms of hair removal. So that's an easy one. If someone's like, hey, I just want to try sugar,
Yeah.
great, we'll take you in. But the other piece is a lot of times people are just going with what they know because it's there, not because they're in love with the process, the experience, or any of the entire customer journey. So if we can grab that customer as they're walking out of the door having a subpar experience and they see our fresh branding, our exciting logo, and they're able to be captured by our marketing for that free initial service to have them experience the Hello Sugar brand. That's ideal for us. So competition, we're not worried. We think there's plenty of room in the space, and we are just getting started.
That's great. Can you talk about any future add-ons in terms of the model, or where you think
Yeah.
you're leaning to?
So I'm not sure how much I can talk too much about it, but I'll give a small teaser
Okay.
that Hello Sugar is developing a sister concept.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big driver and additional revenue stream for our franchise owners. I won't get into too many of the details since I don't know how much I can legally
Yeah,
share
yeah, sure.
yet, but it's super exciting. It's a very synergistic concept that will leverage the Hello Sugar owners and convert them into this sister concept to continue leveraging that customer
Yeah, I love it.
and
No, and I
juicing,
think that's
getting more
that's
juice out of the squeezer,
yeah, no, absolutely. I
whatever the
think that
saying
says a
is.
lot. I just wanted to let people know that it's a brand
There's
that's
something.
continuing to evolve and ways that
Yes,
you're going to be able to leverage
absolutely.
your investment with those customers. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and not only that, we're continuing to pour more, energy and dollars into our technology. We're actually soon to be launching voice AI. So
Okay.
we're at about 60% automation in terms of the customer journey. We're looking to be closer to 80, 85%. So we're constantly evolving. We're not going to stay stagnant where we are in terms of our technology stack. We also are about to launch a new inventory management app, which will really help refine even down to the esthetician to see how much inventory they're using, what
Oh,
time
wow.
they're clocking in it, clocking out, etc. So we're constantly making all sorts of little tweaks and anything to help make it more efficient and make our owners more profitable is what we're going for.
Fantastic. Anything else that you'd want to share about the model and the growth and what you're looking for?
Yeah. So I think just to kind of tie a bow on it, I think Hello Sugar is one of the most, if not the most, executive based brick and mortar concept out
Mm,
there.
mm,
So for anyone that is not looking or not quite ready to leave their full time job, but has the flexibility, has the mindset to coach people, to lead, to motivate and excite, this could really be an exciting opportunity for them
right.
and to really grow out their market as well. So it's a super fun brand with really a young, nimble, motivated team. And we're excited to continue to take the country by storm with Hello Sugar.
Awesome. This is so great, Amy. I really appreciate your time. Looking forward to hearing feedback from others on this model because I think it's fantastic too. You really shared and opened up some things I didn't even really know. So that's what it's all about. Yeah. Thank you. That's a wrap for this episode of Franchise Focus. I hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you're thinking about franchise ownership or want to learn more about the brands we discuss, connect with me on LinkedIn or visit my website at blackmorefranchiseconsulting.com or just leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share it with someone. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Franchise Focus.